fine. You're good.
Hey, here we are again at U2 Ministries here at San Saba, which is crazy. It looks like it's been a week since you've seen us, but it's only been like 15 minutes since we've been on camera. I changed shirts because I was wearing that Christmas sweater and I was sweating to death. I mean, who thought it was going to be 150 degrees on December? We're in Texas. Thanks, Lance. That's Lance. He was on the podcast a couple weeks ago. We had minus views. I don't know how you have minus views, but we had minus views. Like people like viewed it and then they took it off like 3 times. Like, wow, that's crazy. Nothing personal, Lance. Anyway, I do know this one sitting next to me. Oh, before I do that, so my name's Mr. Amazing. What makes me amazing? It's Jesus. Jesus' performance has made me amazing. I've decided to pick that up. Not everybody picks it up, but if Jesus says I'm a masterpiece, what does it really matter what Jesse thinks? What does it matter what anybody thinks? It doesn't really matter because if Jesus says I'm a masterpiece, I'm a masterpiece. Right. He says I'm amazing, I'm taking it. So that's who I am. I'm Mr. Amazing, yes? So then down here at the end here, that's Kim Burley. She doesn't like it when you call her Kim, but I keep forgetting that because I like to call her Kim because it's abbreviation for Kim Burley.
I hate the name Kim.
She hates the name Kim, so she's changed it to Kimberly. Anyway, so Kimberly, you got what?
It's literally my birth name.
It's her birth name. Why is she laughing? I don't know. There's something in the water here in San Saba. Anyway, so Kimberly, you want to say something before we jump into this?
No, let's just jump into it.
Okay, well, let's jump into it. So this to my left, this is Kurt. How do I know Kurt's name? Because he told me one time. Did I remember it? No. I had 2 names in mind, and oh man, which one is it? Which one is it? Which one is it? But then come to find out it's Kurt, and I know another Kurt, so it's easy for me to, put that together now.
Okay.
So Kurt, how's it going?
Oh man, it's going all right for me, man. I'm blessed.
You are?
Yes, sir.
Are you nervous?
Yeah, but it'll wear off in a second, I hope.
You hope it will? You think it will?
Yeah.
It's not going to.
Okay.
I'll put you on the spot a little bit. But anyway, so Kurt and I know each other for a little while. How do we know each other, Kurt?
Through classes, searching for significance.
Oh, yeah.
NA, Narcotics Anonymous.
Yeah, I was never in that.
Okay. Me neither then.
Okay.
Okay. And,
I wasn't.
Just here and there, meeting up, man, through good services, church services, classes, and well,
I think it was classes because you were not afraid to talk.
Okay.
You were one of those guys who actually would speak some stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So who's that sitting next to you?
That's my boy CB, man.
CB, huh?
CB, Charles Brooks. They call me CB.
Okay, Charles Brooks. I'll call you CB.
Right.
You got 2 microphones over there. You got one right there in front of you. You got one right on the side of your neck.
Here, that's right. Just in case this one stops working.
But how do you talk to that one under your neck?
I don't know, but people tend to run up to me in the hallways and start screaming in my neck all the time, thinking that it's a real microphone.
Do they?
They think it's real funny.
That's not very funny.
It's kind of funny.
That is kind of funny. Well, I don't know you very good because we have just met. Like we have just met right this second, right? So usually I wait at least a couple of days or a couple hours. Like Lance, I've known Lance for at least 10 hours now, so I can give him a hard time. I've only known you for less than 30 seconds, so I'm not going to do that. Right. But anyway, thanks for being on this podcast.
Absolutely, thanks for having me. Yeah.
All right. So, Kurt, I'm going to ask you a question right off the bat.
Come on.
Right? I'm going to ask you some of the same questions I asked last week. So, what was your life like when you were growing up?
Well, life for me growing up. I grew up in Fort Worth, Texas, on the south side. And it's a very, very dangerous, treacherous neighborhood. And
treacherous?
Yeah, man. Very,
okay.
Very. And well, I grew up. I had a single mother. I was in a single parent home. Obviously, my father wasn't around. I didn't meet him till I was about 12, 13 years old. And about that time, my mother was dying from breast cancer. And I grew up around gangs, got affiliated, and drugs, started dealing drugs at an early age, very early, 11, 12 years old.
Wow.
And I have 2 sisters, and life was just on a roller coaster, especially for me. Losing my mother at a very young age, I had to fend for myself. So I learned a lot of things early, seen a lot of things, gravitated towards them, and a lot of wrong things. Let me put that out there. So it was very hectic. But although I came from a good family, I have a great grandmother, uncles and aunties, and very prestigious. Live a good life. But I was on the other side. I was raised in the neighborhood. On the other side of town, like I was kind of like the black sheep of the family, you know what I'm saying? But my family loved me as well, but I gravitated to the streets and seen things that I liked and went for them, and it was the wrong decisions, wrong choices I made.
Okay. Let me ask you, when was your first time in prison?
My first time.
Or is this for your first time?
This is my third time in prison.
Third time's a charm?
It is a charm, and it's done.
Done.
I'm done.
Okay, I'm coming back to you. Third time's the charm. If I ever see you in prison again, hopefully it's like you come in with us.
Hey, I like that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
Yeah.
CB?
What's up?
Charles? Well, it's easier to call him CB than it is to call him Pooh. You know what I'm saying? Dude, that's a tough one to call somebody Pooh the whole time.
I had to get used
but
to
he's
that
not
one
in
also.
here, so I'm calling him Anthony from a couple podcasts ago.
Yeah.
So CB, what was it like growing up for you?
My story was a little different. Although I think, like a lot of the guys, I can relate to having, drugs in and out of my life. Though both my parents, my biological parents, my mother and my father, struggled with drug addiction tremendously. And I was awarded, my grandparents were awarded custody of me and my sister. But after that, I grew up in an affluent lifestyle, an entitled lifestyle. And it eventually kind of led to what was my downfall, was that entitled lifestyle. But my mother and father struggling with amphetamine and opiate addiction on and off for their life. And they had a tumultuous relationship, which led to their divorce. But that really it seemed to have broke my mother. My father, he was absent for most of my life. He was there, but absent. And I was desperate for the attention of my father. That was the one person that I looked at, and I wanted to be just like him, regardless of the behavior or the addictions or anything like that. But I think it was mainly because money had a lot to do with it. It covered it up, and that's how he won my love. Even though he wasn't present or there, the money made up for it. But I think I look back now, and if I could give back all the money or that lifestyle, and I could just get a normal relationship back with him and my mother, a healthy relationship, I would trade it all back. But I spent a lifetime searching for. I spent most of my childhood searching for a way to relate to them, to capture his attention and to capture his approval and validation. And it turned out that the one way I felt eventually that I could relate to him was through drugs. And I turned out a spitting image. But I took a more reckless course and became, drugs affected me in a completely different setting. I was violent and angry and rebellious and selfish. I was raised in my grandparents were Catholic, but they weren't devout. It was just expected. It was routine. I grew up in going to Catholic private school my whole life. And
did you ever get the ruler with your knuckles?
No.
Okay, well,
fortunately, I didn't get to experience that. I think that was like the generation right before me.
Oh, it was? Well, then you missed out.
I
has
to
anybody
miss
got
out.
a ruler?
Oh Lord. Yeah,
Sorry.
I happened to miss out on that. But my experience with that kind of faith was just, it was routine, it was expected, it seemed forced. So I never it never touched home base with me. I never related to that. And then my father's side of the family, there was no religion. It was money and drugs and power. So I was lost. I had no identity in any of that. The only thing that I grew up to relate to was drugs and money and chaos and lack of discipline and lack of structure. So that's really what my childhood looked like, leading up until the later years.
Where did you grow up at?
Dallas, East Dallas.
That's East Dallas?
East Dallas.
Oh, that's close to Fort Worth.
That is close to Fort Worth.
Yeah.
We had a conversation the other day about that.
Yeah. I'm going to have a hard time driving through Fort Worth anymore because, man, there's a lot of people in prison from Fort Worth. Or maybe now it's... No. Yeah, watch it. I know it. Anybody from Fort Worth? I can't go anywhere now. I can't go to El Paso. I can't go to Fort Worth. I better stay in the small towns.
You can come to Fort Worth, Tom.
I can come to
You
Fort
can come
Worth?
to Fort Worth.
All right, well, that's good. All right, so I'm going to ask you another question, Kurt, because you know what? So I know some of your story, Kurt, and some of it I've been questioning about how I was going to ask you some of these questions, right? So why don't you give us a rundown on, what made you try Jesus, right? Because I know that didn't you say that you kind of knew Jesus when you were younger?
Oh yeah, I grew up in a Christian environment, non-denomination. My grandmother, my mother, they all was Christians. I grew up in the church, and when I got a little older, I went to the penitentiary for the first time and was introduced to another religion. And I saw the guys in the religion, and I could relate to the mannerism they had, their lifestyles, the things that they talked about, the way they carried themselves. I was intrigued because I could tell they were from a place like I was from. And so at that time, I started letting people in on my lifestyle, and they're like, and they telling me things like, well, this was your mother's or your grandmother's religion. Why don't you think for yourself? You know what I'm saying? Try out something new. If you like it, if you want to learn about it, if it's so intriguing to you, give it a chance. So I gave it a chance, and I end up converting. I ended up converting to another religion, and I was studying that religion for almost 10 years.
Are you hesitant to say what it is?
Oh, well, no. I was a Muslim.
Okay.
And not to offend nobody, but Jesus won me back over. Okay. And within the time span of 10 years, I learned a lot in Islam. Islam had brought me closer, and I thought that my family was gonna shun me or just turn away from me because of my religion. But my grandmother once told me, she was like, when I finally told her, she was one of my biggest, not critics, but like a person that I was scared to announce it to. Mm-hmm. And so
grandmas, you never know a grandma.
Granny's everything.
Yeah.
And so I told her, and she was like, Kurt, whatever draws you to Christ, whatever draws you to the Lord, you know what I'm saying, I'm for it. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of different being in the world in Islam. I didn't have all the people around me, all the people in my ear, and I started going through things. I started going through things that life calls trial and tribulations, what the Bible called, and I couldn't call on nobody but God, but Jesus, and it just kept coming to my head. Every time I ran into a situation, I got shot. I had a major car wreck. I almost ran off a bridge, shattered my ankle. Just things that was happening to me that led me back to Christ, and it was so profound that it couldn't have been nobody but Jesus Christ. And so, yeah, he real, man. So I ended up going back to the penitentiary and kind of picked up where I left off in the other religion, and so it was things that kept pulling me towards the church. I had friends that I had been in prison with at first and had spent some time with, and they knew I was Muslim, but they still invited me to church services, and they was inviting me to classes, things that'll better me. And I always know that the art of confusion is caused by the devil. You know, so when I go to certain places and they they talk in certain places, bash other religions, or I'm not for all that. So I was like, man, is that right? Is division a art of God? You know what I'm saying? So I had to look at certain things that I was indulging in, and it wasn't just Islam. I still was gang banging and running around, getting myself in trouble. G4 status in the penitentiary, which anybody who knows the G4, that's a level of custody that's not good. That means you're not doing good inside of the system. So I'm already inside a prison, so I don't need to be in another prison inside a prison. So I'm like, hey man, something I'm doing isn't right. And they say that doing the same thing expecting a different result is insanity. So I'm like, hey, I'm not insane. I'm very much well mentally capable to make great decisions, and I come from a good household, good background. And why am I steady making these decisions that aren't good for me, that's leading me down a road that I don't need to be on? And I'm like, hey man, life's not getting no shorter. I'm getting older and older and older, and I'm finding myself in the penitentiary time after time, and I'm getting chance after chance. And so I came back to the penitentiary for the last time, and I seen a guy, which is I can say his name, right?
I don't care.
Okay, well, JJ. I seen Brother JJ, man, and I seen the transformation in this brother's life. And the brother came to me. He was like, hey man, what's up, man? And we reintroduced ourselves, and I was seeing the way he was carrying himself, and he had noticed that I've changed as well, but he didn't know to what degree. And so he was inviting me to classes, and I would sign up for classes, and I would go to church services, and I still hadn't denounced my other religion and stood up for what I knew was right. And that was Jesus Christ. And so I knew he had a calling on my life, but I didn't know what it was. And I kept hearing his name and calling his name every time I got in trouble, and every time that I needed something to lean on where nobody was there, and being just down on myself about coming back to the situation at hand. And I knew better that this was last time was supposed to be the last time, and when you tell yourself, hey man, I'm not gonna do this no more, and you turn around and do it again, you kind of get hard on yourself and be like, man, what am I doing? Why am I doing these things? Why do I continue to do these things? And I know better. So in the midst of all that, all I could call on was Jesus. So I started getting in my Bible a little bit more. My grandmother always told me, hey man, it's 31 days of the month, get in Proverbs, So I got in Proverbs, and the scripture that really stood out to me was chapter 1, verse 7. And it was saying, it said, to fear the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. To fear the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. And so I'm like, hey man, I got a problem with authority, man. I got a problem with instruction, and everybody wants to be wise. Everybody wants to be smart. Everybody wants to know something. Don't nobody want to be looked at as dumb or stupid or any of those negative attributes. So I was like, man, hey man, I picked this, and so I can't pick this and say I'm be this, and I'm not doing this. I'm not. And fearing the Lord is the first step. You got to know that the Lord is real. And so, man, that's what I did, man. I just I gave up and I gave in to Jesus, and he's my Lord and Savior. And that's where I stood, and that's where I stand.
Okay. I'm coming back to that, but we're going to give CB. CB, you got a handle? Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mike.
Like CB
Mike got
radio?
that. Yeah, you got a handle. What's your handle here? Or I guess your handle is CB.
Yeah. Breaker 19.
Is that
Breaker 19?
It's a young crowd. Young crowd. So CB, when did Jesus really get a hold of you?
Man, that was a struggle because I was resistant towards it for
Yeah.
a long time, even though and when I really look back on it, the seed was planted multiple times throughout my life. It just took a multitude of events to take place for me to realize that. And I struggled for most of my life with like an oversensitive ego, to say the least.
What does
And
oversensitive ego mean?
so I could just like
There's a fly
signing
in here.
There's
yeah,
flies
just like
in
for
there,
signing
yes.
the time, and just for example, signing for time and coming and losing everything and disappointing family and loved ones and tearing apart my family and my marriage and my kids, and still thinking that I had control or that I could get myself out of it, or that getting brought to my knees and thinking that I was in control, or if anyone said anything that was opposed to my belief or what I thought or how I felt about myself or how much power I thought I could have, it was all I could it would fester and fester and fester, and my ego would just either go rampant or it would deflate, or and that's been a big issue for me for a long time. And I came into prison this time just still not comprehending the fact that humility needed to take over my life. And just when I thought that I came in here and I lost everything, there was more that I guess needed to happen, that I needed to lose for me to realize that that I had to hit a point of desperation to call for God. And it wasn't really until I didn't realize that God was all I needed until God was all I had left, right? And so I came into the system this time sober and battling with the idea, because my mother had diagnosed stage 4 cancer, and finally I found a new addiction here, because I have a severely addictive personality. Anything you have, anything that's around, if it's gonna alleviate the symptoms of misery that's within me, I want it. And eventually I found it, and I fell into a rabbit hole of addiction here that I couldn't find myself out of. And I used the excuse of loss of family and everything that had happened, the loss of relationships, broken relationships. I used as an excuse to run off with my addiction. And when I look back on it, and this happened here at this unit too, I look back on it and I realized that there was planted people around me here and there that were constantly trying to get me to go to a 12-step meeting with them or to church services. And I knew my conscience would eat at me whenever they would offer, and I would deny or refuse and not go. And I knew that those were the places that I probably needed to go. And then finally, it just got to me to the point where I'm calling my sick mom, knowing that she's dying, and I'm asking her to cash out money on a daily basis and send more money. And even though she would do it, I knew that she's worrying. She's hanging up the phone and she's stressing and worrying and crying. And there was no more defeating feeling in the world than that. And my addiction wouldn't allow me to see past what was in front of me. Like I couldn't see anything further than the next high. And finally, I got around some like-minded guys and got moved into a different dorm because I'd been asking for help. And so I got a moment of clarity, that point where the drugs were taken out of my system, and that was a struggle, right? And then that's where the real work started taking place. And I was resistant towards the idea of God, and the intellectual side of me would challenge everyone's belief. Like if you spoke on, if the people with the Bible, or the people speaking the J word, or and I just grew up, the J word. I can say it now, but at first, like the J word,
What's the J?
No, the J word, like I couldn't, like, so my impression of people in the church was, especially when I first came into prison, especially in jail, was seeing people throw their hands up and praise Jesus, and then I had seen so many people that were that I felt were manipulating the system, and it's like as soon as they left jail or got released, the first thing that was in the trash can was their Bible.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true. That is real talk right there, though.
And so, but I looked at that and it made me so resentful towards like the hypocrisy, and then it just put everyone that was doing it in a category for me that was just like, okay, well, I want no part of that. I don't want any part of it. I don't want to be this fake person that's screaming for Jesus for an early release date, or to manipulate family and loved ones that I've changed, because so many times have I tried to convince my family and loved ones, oh, I'm changing, I'm doing different, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And that just seems like the cliche, like, oh, I found Jesus, you have to believe me, I changed, because I no longer had credibility with my family because my words meant nothing. So I challenged everyone's belief when I got into this new dorm, and finally someone pushed me and they were like, look, especially in the program, the 12-step program that I got back into, they had pushed me. They were like, you know what, just, it doesn't have to be Jesus, it doesn't have to be Allah, it doesn't have to be this, just pray to God, you know, just try praying. And it seemed very unnatural and forced, but I kept doing it, and it was just a very broad idea and generalization of what God was for me. And that's where it kind of started getting watered, right, and started to sprout. And then and I told this in my testimony the other day at church service, where this is that moment where I was real defensive, because I wasn't about to do the whole Jesus thing. It was just going to be a God of my understanding, which is what the program had taught me, right, to make it simple, because I overcomplicate things. And you know, my sponsor that was working with me was like, well, look, you struggle with an ego, so the best way for you to do that when you're practicing your prayer in the morning is to hit your knees every morning, because there's no better sign of humility than that, right? And I was trying to work on deflating my ego and not letting it block my way into a door. And so one day this guy's like, got his Bible in his lap, and he's like, hey, dude, I've been noticing that, like, you're doing your little prayer in the morning on your knees, and that's really, really cool. Have you decided, like who you're praying to, like what? And I got real defensive about that. I was like, that's for me. That's my personal experience. I don't have to pray to your God, and I know where you're heading with this. And then I kept practicing prayer and conversation, and it turned into not just a routine prayer. It turned into conversations like a friend on a daily basis, sometimes 3 or 4 times a day, sometimes 50 times a day, sometimes when I'm just walking down the hall. And it's so natural now. And then I started having conversations with someone that was like, that was on the podcast before, and that everyone seems to think that they've, that seems to have conversation with, and he's opened a lot of doors with people, makes you think. And he was like, man, I felt like that too. And I was hesitant to speak Jesus, because I wanted to make sure it meant something for me. But then my ego came back into play, and I didn't want all the people that knew me, because I was an atheist. I had fell into atheism. I didn't believe in God, and I finally opened the door with prayer and gave it a shot because I was desperate. And finally, I didn't want people, the one last door that I needed to kick open was that pride and that ego out of the way, because I didn't want people that were talking to me about Jesus, that were like, come with us. I didn't want them to know that secretly I was doing it. I was secretly reading scripture. I was secretly falling into that. And I didn't want them to know. I didn't want to give them the satisfaction to ever say, I told you so.
Can I stop you for a second?
Yes.
What did you say you were doing? You were fighting it off?
Yeah, I was resisting it for a long time.
Did you go?
Mentally, I didn't let anyone see that part of it. They probably they would have sent me to Skyview had I been doing that out in the open. But
well, I'm not going to Skyview, and I just did it.
oh,
I'm on my way.
you haven't walked out the front doors yet, so
Yeah. There's a bus outside. The Bluebird.
I know. Sorry, I threw you off there.
no, that's fine. That's fine. So no, that's really where things started shifting. And then after conversation, and then me finally just realizing, and I just remember when I realized it was Jesus, when I realized it was this walk of life, when I accepted it and I surrendered to it, it's like the moment that I really internalized it, and I didn't just have it up here, but I internalized it, like I moved it from my head to my heart, and it meant something real to me. I was so scared of letting go of that, and almost as if waiting for the other shoe to drop and the fire to go away. But it's like everything up until this point made sense in my life. It's like all the bad experiences, all the struggle, all the pain, my sentence, the loss of life. I lost my father in 2020 to drugs. I lost my mother this year. Everything made sense to form me and shape me into what I feel as a Christian I can do and perform for him. And being incarcerated, I've found freedom, and it's an internal spiritual freedom. It doesn't matter what four walls are around me or what fence is between me and the free world. I've found more freedom now amongst brothers that I call family, and surrounding myself. And that question that she had asked earlier was amazing to me, because it's like people that knew me as an atheist challenging everyone's belief in Jesus, and me deciding to take on to go in and follow Christianity and accept the Lord Jesus Christ as my Savior. People are watching, and they're watching with scrutiny, and they're judging, and they're criticizing. And I just talked about that with a brother earlier. It was like a fruitless life, a life that bears no fruit. It doesn't matter who praises you, but a life that bears plentiful fruit. It doesn't matter who criticizes you. So, I mean, I just keep that in mind at all times, and I keep doing it, and people do notice. People notice that, and they respect it. They genuinely respect it. So, even through the loss of life, of family and loved ones, I felt more at peace now, and even incarceration, I felt more freedom now. So I think that's certainly all through Jesus. That's all through Christianity.
Yeah, that's good. Wow. Right? Wow. I'm almost speechless. Almost. Almost. That's a first. I can't even see you over there, but get to move the yeah. So the thing about it is, both of you guys, right? Because, Kurt's, was a Muslim, and he's, switching to, Jesus. And then so you have, I think there's a lot of people struggling with what other people think and what other people say. But it's also the struggle of Satan's been in your ears for so long that he's trying to keep you from finding the truth, right? And sometimes the step is not that easy, like you said, because if you've been an atheist, so you've been talking to a lot of people about a lot of stuff. So then when Jesus never forgot about you, which is great, right? So how many times you blow Jesus off? You can't even say his name. You're just like, whatever, right? And then, you know what? But then he's always been there for you. He's always loved you. He's always thought you were a masterpiece. He always thought you were incredible. He never took anything personal. He always knew that, he just kept on pursuing you, right? Even though you may have been cussing him, even may you be saying, you're not even real, and he's been pursuing you. And you know what? That's just got to be so awesome in your life to know that. Yes?
Yes, absolutely.
Right, absolutely. And then even if Jesus, because you know what, Jesus can find people anywhere, but I've said this many times that maybe we just needed to sit down for a little while, and you just needed to be quiet, and you just needed some things to happen in your life to where what you said is like, I didn't even know about Jesus until I really needed him, right? And isn't it great that our Lord is right there, ready for us to turn around at any time we're ready, right? That is just amazing.
Every time.
So, with you too, Kurt, with you too, not you two ministries, but you too.
Okay.
I don't know, throw that in there. Why? Who knows?
Promotional.
Promotional, like we're promoting what, right? Because we're not promoting anything, right? Oh, we've made it to 100 subscribers.
Okay. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
There's like 250 million people in this country, and we've got 100 subscribers. Yeah!
Don't give up.
It's not about the numbers.
It's not about the numbers. No, it's not.
Okay,
It's
we're
not.
actually one of the very few prison ministries that would be on, if we were on the Pando, where it's actually directed for prisoners.
Yeah. Yeah,
People
there's no doubt.
incarcerated.
Yeah.
Oh, we will fight, Tom.
Yeah, careful. Jesse, I need some help here.
We will fight.
I need a
prison
bodyguard.
rules.
Yes.
He hasn't gotten paid his ding dong he's had.
I gave him last week.
He
Credit.
want more.
Credit.
People always want more.
Yeah, I know they do.
Greedy.
They're always wanting more. That's true. So, Kurt, for you to change over though, right? Because as nobody's been giving you a hard time. Nobody said anything about it, or that there could be some scrutiny with that.
Oh yeah.
But you know what? Following Jesus, there's scrutiny because with Jesus just being himself, never scrutiny. All he did was love people, right?
Yes.
So you know what? All he was trying to do was, care about people and love people and forgive people and give people eternal life. And you know what? There was people on his case, all the time. And then the disciples, right? Those guys got a little nervous and they ran off. And you know what? But then when they realized what was real in their life, it didn't matter. They spent some time in prison, but for different reasons, yes? But for you guys, it's kind of the same thing. It's not that you're having to spend time in prison for that, but you could be in prison in your mind, see how I can even put this, in what other people are thinking. Because there's going to be a time where, like, are you a Christian or you are this? And then, you know what, following Jesus, man, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to say, yeah, I'm a follower of Jesus because you know where he came. You know where he rescued you, right?
Right.
Right? And you know where he rescued you. Do you remember the time where it was? Do you remember exactly where it was where you said, okay, Jesus, I'm done, or I'm starting? Yeah, I know you're shaking your head, but go ahead and tell me.
Me?
I don't care either.
Okay.
Both of you.
Now, let me start off by letting you know that it's gonna be people that despise my decision, and that's okay. I really wasn't worried about people. I was worried about myself. It was a conviction that came over me that I felt like I was betraying somebody, and I was betraying Jesus by not putting him first and acknowledging him as my Lord and Savior. So I was more against myself than anybody could ever be against me, and I wasn't really worried about nobody feeling some kind of way or anything of that nature. But the moment to answer the other question, the moment that I knew that I had to give it all up and accept Jesus, it was done and over with. I had a car wreck, and I had screws in my ankle and my foot, and I couldn't even toe touch it on the ground. I was walking for months, about 5 months like that, on crutches, hopping on one leg and 2 crutches. So I was sitting on the restroom. I was sitting in the toilet, and something told me to get up. Well, I'm gonna tell a story I ain't supposed to.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks. I asked for the story.
And hey, and I usually would have to grab the sink and grab the wall, which the towel rack is right there on the wall in front of me, and I knew not to grab that because it'd come off so easy. And so something just told me, like, hey man, I'm finna do some things with you, and you're gonna need that foot, so get up and try it. and get up and walk is what he said. And man, I got up and I got on that foot, and the doctors was telling me, don't do this, don't do that. And man, I just started crying, man. When I stood up and I stood on my own 2 feet again, I was like, man, he told me and I heard him and I did exactly what he told me, and it was true. It didn't break, it didn't bend, it didn't fold. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna do the exact same thing. So man, months after that, man, I started doing great things, and I was doing right. And all it takes is one slip though, you know, and so I want people to know that when you slip, get up. You're designed to fight. You know, you're a soldier of Christ now. You know what I'm saying? So don't think you're not gonna go through things because you choose a certain religion or as far as my situation, if it get hard, I'm gonna go back or bounce back to this. Because see, I had to deal with myself on that, because in my neighborhood, once you're something, you're something.
Yeah.
And it's a name for that, you know, in the streets. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't let that bother me at all. I knew what to choose, and I know what I chose, and I was gonna stand on it, and I know what was real, and Jesus Christ was real. You know what I'm saying? So with saying that, man, that I just stood up and I stood on Christ, man, and that was my time to stand for him.
Okay, good stuff, right, guys? You guys relate to that? Yeah. Southside? Okay. CB, what was the time for you?
The exact moment that
Yeah.
I gave it over to
Yeah.
him.
I mean, I'm sure that it's been building up.
It was building up, but that exact moment, so I was writing a letter, and it was advised to me to do this by a mentor of mine, because my daughter's young, and I wanted to write a letter that I could give to her at a certain age, or that give to her mom that she was going to give to her at a certain age, that explains kind of not an excuse, but just my actions and where I've been and for these years. And it's something that she's going to get a little bit older, when she's a little bit older. And I spent 5-6 hours throughout the night just stuck on it and writing and just pouring everything I could into it. And by the time I finished it and read it, I just remember, you know, I was fresh in the program again, and I'd been fighting the idea of Jesus, and it was 6/26 of this year. So I call it my spiritual birthday. And that's when I secretly accepted Jesus into my heart. But because a big part of me was I was ashamed that I had denied him for so long, and I was ashamed that I had turned my back on him for so long. And just like I mentioned in my testimony, is like that same desperation of attention from my father that I had for so long as a kid. It's like that hole was finally filled when I accepted him. It's like I got the attention from Father, but it wasn't my earthly father. It was Jesus, and he filled everything, the void, everything. And it was a peace, an overwhelming peace that night when the lights were still out, everyone was asleep. It was a peace that I can't ever, I don't think I'll ever be able to repeat or mimic. It's something that will forever be engraved in me. So.
All right, so you got kids?
Yes.
You got kids?
Yes, sir.
So, how are you guys dealing with having your kids on the outside and you guys being here as a dad?
I'll let you take this one first.
Man, it's difficult because my son, who's my oldest, I wish I could have broken that generational curse that I hope that he's not out there desperate for that attention that I didn't get from my father. And I pray every day that he grows up knowing God and knowing Jesus, so that he doesn't have to grow up with that empty void, with that hole that he seeks for substances or addictions to fill. I'm blessed knowing that he has a mother that is a godly woman. Same with my daughter. Her mom is a godly woman. So it's hard because I just want for them to have everything that I didn't have growing up. And it wasn't even the material things. It was it's this. what I have now is what I want for them. And so all I can do is pray that they know that. But I have confidence in God, especially by example. By example, I know that if I continue my walk, God will provide.
Yeah. That's one thing that I know about Jesus. He's the reconciler.
Yeah.
He is a reconciler for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good stuff. Kurt? How old are you, Kurt?
I'm 40 years old.
Wow, you're younger than Jesse.
Yeah, he's 70, ain't he?
He is 72 is what he said.
Hey, man, that's a blessing, man.
Look, he's in the front row now. I don't know him, so I probably shouldn't say anything.
Where is it? I can't see him.
No, the guy that looks like he's 72 with the gray hair.
Oh, man, going on. No,
sorry, man. What's your name? Good to meet you.
How old are you?
57.
You almost said 40-something. Yeah. Yeah. I dye my hair gray. That's what I do with my mustache.
That's a really white hair for being so young.
Careful. Yeah. Yeah, at least you still got some.
Hey, there's the girls out here dyeing their hair and damaging it like crazy trying to get that white. So good for you.
Yeah. So,
sorry, Kurt. You got kids?
Yeah, I got kids, man. I was blessed with a lot of girls. I have kids and
what's a lot of girls?
I don't know. He's not going to say.
How many kids do you got?
How many kids you
brother?
got?
7 kids.
You got 7 kids?
Oh my! And they're all girls?
No. I have one biological son and I have a stepson. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have 2 boys in that bunch, but I try to lead them in the right direction. Being that I'm in prison, it's kind of hard to do that. But blessed with a good wife, she gave me a chance to do that over the phone. So in visitation, so every chance I get, I pour into them, man, and let them know that just because I'm in here and it won't be forever, that doesn't mean that you have to feel ashamed or you have to feel down on yourself. You have to use that as a stepping stone, you know what I'm saying, to let people know that, hey man, I know my daddy might be in jail or might be incarcerated, but look, I'm doing good in school. I got straight A's. I got something to show him to keep him home. You know what I'm saying? Show me what I didn't show my parents. You know what I'm saying? The right thing to do is stay in school and get good education, keep yourself around good company, you know, and love and cherish your mother and your father and your siblings. So it gets hard. It gets hard trying to preach the right thing, being that I'm in a bad situation. But like I told you, I was blessed with the mother for allowing me the chances to be there over the phone and through visitation. And on a daily basis, man, I just let them know that I love them, that I won't make these mistakes again. And so when I get home, I got to truly show them, not tell them, because you know, words are simple and easy, and action is what counts. And I know that for sure. And it's nothing greater in this world to me than to accept Christ in your life and to have kids and be able to put Christ in their life. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because the world is very messed up right now. You know what I'm saying? So we need more people more fathers to be in the household, to be able to tell their kids right from wrong, to be able to show them right from wrong, because it lead by example, because that's what most of us search for in the streets, man, is a father figure. And I'm not trying to use my boy CB, but he said he was missing that. I was missing that as well, and I can relate to that. You know what I'm saying? So whether it's you or somebody else, they gonna get it from somewhere, and so you ought to be the one, or you ought to want to be the one that they get it from. You know what I'm saying? And that's all I try to do, man, on a daily basis, man. And I'm gonna do the exact same thing when I get home, man, and even more. Yeah.
And just because you're here doesn't mean that you can't tell your kids, right? Because your kids, obviously they know you're here, or maybe they don't, but you know, you can still tell your kids, like, hey man, this is what God needed to do to rescue me. Right? You can turn it into a positive. It doesn't have to be a negative. It can definitely be, look, I was struggling with this, and whatever the case may be, and God thought I was a masterpiece, and He knows I'm worth it, and He's got great plans for me, and this was what it took to set me down. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I think when you explain to your kids some of the situations that we have to go through and put God in, as God is the one that's helping us, I think that your kids can understand that, right? I think that they can. When I was growing up, my dad always said, because I said so. You ever have that? Yep. Maybe you didn't have that, because I said so. And that used to bother me. Tell me why. No, because I said so. I'm like, okay. But I never really, give me an illustration, right? So he never would. So when my kids grew up, I would never say, I told you so. I would always tell them why. Sometimes it got me in trouble, right? Because I remember one time they had this friend come over, and one of my son's friend, and I said, you can't hang out with him no more. Why? Because every time you get in trouble with this kid right here, you guys are always getting in trouble. Anyway, my son told that kid told his dad, dad called me, and next thing you know, I've got to try to explain myself, right? But the point is they knew where I stood, because I was telling them, hey, Dad always hasn't been this, right? Your dad, I dropped out of school. I had drug issues. I did all this. But but I'm still like, that's the past. This is the future, yes? Right. And I know my kids now are not walking in the steps that I had from the past. Yes, so you said you break generational curses. Well, I'll tell you what, I think by the decisions that you're making now are starting to break those curses. Right, guys? Because how could it not be? When you got Christ in your life, things are different now, right?
That's right.
So you're a different human being, right? So people are like, is that the atheist guy that would never say the J word? Because I'm thinking the J word, right? Like J-pay? Right? Like what, right? But what a great testimony too, right? Because you know what? Jesus gets all the credit because of how much, like I said earlier, because how much He loves you and He chased you down. Right? And with you too, Kurt, right? You can say, hey, Jesus, I changed religions, right? Mm-hmm. I changed this and that. And you know what? I've been here a few times and whatever. But you know what? Now that God's coming, got a grip of you now. I mean, what a great testimony of where you were and now where you are, right? And there's so many people out there, especially in the prison system, that they've made so many mistakes that they don't think that God could ever love them again, right? And you guys know, and these guys, especially these guys in the crowd out here, I mean, look at these guys. I mean, you talk about guys that have screwed it up.
Oh my God!
Look at Lance.
Say that.
Oh, yeah. Wait, right? But the thing about it is, it just goes to show you how much Jesus loves us. That's right? Because even though we've screwed it up, He's still there for us, right? But then there's somebody out there in the system, right? And there's people out there on the outside world too, that they feel as though they've committed these sins that you can't be forgiven, right? And you can be forgiven. Yes? And you don't have to continue in those sins, because God erased them as far as the east is from the west. And things can be, right? But if you want to try to pay for it yourself, you're doomed.
That's right.
Right? So what you said is you had to humble yourself, right? And then when you come to Christ, you have to humble yourself, yes? But it's crazy, when you humble yourself, when you trust Christ, you get what you always wanted. Just like my shirt says. You won't get what you want until you give up what you have.
You can't keep it unless you give it away.
Yes, and that's exactly what you guys are saying, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's some good stuff.
Some things on me to keep.
Yeah, some things we don't need to keep, but we keep them anyway, and it's really ridiculous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you got that microphone on your neck. Jesse's got earrings in his ear. Sorry, Jesse. Sorry, he keeps talking bad about my nose. It's touche. So do you sing?
In the shower, yeah, I sing
Well, I didn't really need to know that. We're in a prison. We ain't going there.
That's about
We ain't doing that. Wow.
A little bit, yeah. I sing a little bit.
Sing something for us. You got a Christmas carol you want to sing?
No. I can't sing.
You
with
rap?
That. No. What?
Rap?
No. I don't rap.
You got a microphone on your neck. You're going to sing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you have a microphone if you don't sing?
Yeah.
Come on now.
CB, come on. What do you got?
My boy CJ out there sings though. He's really the singer.
No, I'm not the one on the podcast.
What kind of music do you sing?
I have a hard time singing without the instrument in my hands. It's really.
Just pretend like there's one there.
I can't do it. But
Okay. Okay.
I appreciate it.
Well, I'm just trying to get your career off the bat, right? I'm trying to get your career because you know what? This could be I mean, we've got 125 subscribers. That could be the beginning of your whole future.
Right.
All right, forget that.
Mr. Amazing Studios.
Mr. Amazing Studios, yeah, right here at San Saba. All right, so you guys, right? You got any questions, Kim, that you want to ask these guys?
No, I just want to know what the microphone's for now.
If the what?
I just want to know what the microphone's for now.
Come on, man, sing our ad-lib for you.
Oh, he plays guitar, Tom.
He does. I'm sure he's good at it. Okay. And he sings. I know. Why? It's like I know right now he's thinking, I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to do it. But I
on
say
the spot. It's just a little bit on the spot.
It's on the spot.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really on the spot. It's actually on the camera.
We clean our lenses. There's no spots.
It's okay. It's okay. Whatever. I don't really know you enough to call you a chicken. Sorry, man. I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with
Right
you
on.
because I'm not singing.
I mean, you're the one with the beak, obviously.
I
so
know.
I can't
Oh
be
my
the one with the beak.
God.
The good thing about this beak, though, CB, that you don't know about, is when there's no oxygen left in the room or very little, I'm getting the rest of it.
That's right.
Just boom.
Boom. He's had a whole lifetime to practice those jokes.
I have. I went mountain lion hunting once, and I was in the worst terrain ever, and I was breathing so bad. And at that moment, I realized I was so glad I had this big nose. Honestly, my whole life, I didn't want this big nose, but at that particular time, I said, God, thank you for giving me this big nose, because the trees were doing this by me going. So anyway, all right, so we got some people out there in the crowd, not these guys, but out there in other units that need some encouraging, right? What do you got to say to them? You want to go first, Kurt? Right there in the camera, right there, right underneath the light.
Well,
Hang on a second. Let me just build this stage just a
Okay.
little bit. When you probably already know this, but you know what? You remember when there was a time, even though there's a group of people in the prison, but you felt you were just all alone, right? And then you know what? You just you think that nobody cares and nobody's there, and and then you're just in that dark spot. And there's people out there in a dark spot that just might watch this podcast that need an encouraging word from your perspective.
okay, that's really deep, man.
It is deep.
It's just to keep it all the way 100 with you, and that's real. It's a lot of people out there going through a lot of different things. I mean, drugs, fornication, with the wrong people at the wrong times, incarcerated for a short amount of time, fixing to get ready to go back to the world, in prison for numerous of years, and ain't gonna see parole until they kids 18 years old and they was just born. It's a world full of trouble and trauma, and how can I say this, man? Hey, give Jesus a chance. Just give him a chance. Like my boy CB said, man, take pride in what you do. Fall to your knees. Be humble and show the true meaning of humility when it comes to speaking to Christ and inviting him in your life, and be serious about everything you do, and know that one day you will be free. And if you're not gonna be free, start your life and show other people this coming into this life, because this revolving door is what they call it. It won't never end, man. So if you in here, be in here for a purpose. You know what I'm saying? Show what God made. And they say we all made in his image. So hey, man, God is wonderful. He's awesome, almighty. No one stronger than God. So be that one to bring someone to Christ, and bring souls to him, because that's what it's about. That's what it's about, man. And just give them a try. That's all I got to say, man.
Okay, good stuff. Thanks, Kurt. CB?
So the message I'd want to give to people that maybe have related to what testimony I've said is, that purpose, finding a purpose, especially if you're struggling with your incarceration. I know that I didn't see any point to life. I didn't even see any point to waking up and brushing my teeth in the mornings or doing my laundry and I realized that through God I find purpose, through a relationship with God, and the whole point of life, the whole meaning of life is to give it purpose, and you can't give it purpose without having a relationship with God. It takes practice. Sometimes it gets stagnant, but you keep pressing, and the true way that you find spiritual maturity and spiritual growth is that when we go through these heartaches and these obstacles, God wants us to lean on Him, and that's where we grow. And so and then it led me to this one thing where I find the most fulfillment whenever I feel stuck in myself and stagnant or in despair, or falling into old thoughts, because the greatest spiritual warfare I have is in between my 2 ears, and the way to get out of that is service to others. That's what it comes down to. Things like this, getting involved in the community, getting involved with brother, finding fellowship. That's my greatest advice, is a relationship with God and service to others. You'll find purpose, and the more you work on that relationship with God, He will reveal His purpose for you in this life. Whether it's a lifetime of incarceration, He will find you a purpose, a fulfilling purpose that gives life meaning. So lean on that relationship with God. No matter how much work it takes, it pays off in the end. And then and rely on service for others, because that's true worship. That's showing true reverence to God, is serving His children. So that's my greatest form of advice, because it works for me.
Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. Thanks, CD. Kim?
One of the biggest takeaways I had whenever I was seeking the Lord and building an intimate relationship with my Father is that I always wanted to beat myself up because I could never fit the quote unquote Christian lifestyle. It's really hard in a place where you're in a microcosm and you're like confined, right? And everybody watches you, like you sneeze wrong and it, they want to judge you. And that's really a big thing that people do go through in here. But the thing that really got me through a lot of that is, you've heard me talk about it, Tom, as the story of Jacob. Whenever he wrestled with God, and he wrestled all night and he didn't walk away unscathed. He had his hip had popped out of the socket, right? He had a wounded hip, and that specific wound, like they've done a lot of studies, that specific wound is it leaves you imperfect. You will always have a limp. Like, it's a really hard injury to recover from. And so if you're going through one of those things where you're just coming to know the Lord, or maybe you've been walking with the Lord, but you can't understand why you can't be everything everyone is expecting you to be because you're not the perfect Christian, or you can't be everything you're expecting yourself to be because you're not the perfect Christian, and it's kind of getting you discouraged, just remember that we walked through hell before we got here, and we're not going to come out of this place. This is most oftentimes where people wrestle with God, because you don't know if you're trying to follow Him, you don't know if you're trying to seek Him, you don't know if you're trying to turn from Him. So in this wrestling, just know you're not going to come out unscathed, but you're going to come out with a new name. You're going to come out with a new purpose, and you're going to be a new creation, and you're going to come out with a new life. God will turn everything that you have known completely around, to the point where people won't recognize you, you won't recognize yourself, and the life that you've had is something that you felt like you would only read about, you never would imagine it. And He'll give you the right opportunities and the right people and situations. God is a loving God, and just keep wrestling with Him in here. Keep wrestling until He blesses you, And it's the holiday season. We love you.
Yes.
And we're
All right,
thinking
good
of you.
stuff. All right, good stuff. All right, so that's going to conclude our podcast for today. And you know what? Be encouraged that, you know what, no matter where you're at, no matter what's going on, God still loves you. He's pursuing you. He wants the best for you. And just because you're sitting in a cell by yourself doesn't mean that God doesn't love you. Maybe this is the greatest thing that ever happened to you, when God Almighty is speaking to you.
Yeah.
Yes? So, you know, sometimes it seems weird to say Merry Christmas, but Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Right? Merry Christmas, right?
Happy
So-
New Year.
Happy New Year, right? And then for you guys out in the crowd, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas to you guys, right? And for you guys, thanks for being vulnerable today. And then we're actually going to do some baptisms in a little while. Yes? So, you know what? Thanks. Until the next time, see you later.